Greetings, one and all. Stagger, aka Red Robe, tapping in with you one time on a beautiful Friday afternoon, man. If you're out there working and you about to collect a big check today on a Friday afternoon, round of applause for yourself. Now, do remember that you could also watch my regular videos on my channel, and you can watch my lives. A lot of people don't watch the lives because they are spontaneous. Sometimes, I don't have a specific time because of the way how my life is right now. I just can't say, "Hey, I'm coming on at 12," and get the viewers that way. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying I'm trying my best to go live as much as I can, and keep my channel alive, and and just have my opinion out there because I like having an opinion sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. But I know that on this channel we are mainly focused on music because I am an artist. I am a musician, and that's my main focus. That's the main thing I care about is music and what's going on in the music industry. What changes have been made? What new things are happening? What new business tactics happening? That's usually where I like to be. But I feel like I started doing these lives because I wanted to talk about other things. I wanted to talk about other things. And I want it to be a little bit more spontaneous. Remember, this is live. Like, this is not pre-recorded. I absolutely sometimes don't know what I'm going to talk about. Like, sometimes I have an idea what I'm going to talk about, but in terms of like having like a full-blown like plan, like sometimes I don't have that. I don't have a full blown plan on what I'm going to talk about. Sometimes I might just put some bullet points down to say, hey, I'm going to talk about this, but it's not like a plan. I don't have a teleprompter showing me what to say next. I don't have somebody in my ear saying, okay, next go into this and this, giving me information. I'm just doing this live off the top of my head. So please forgive me if I may say something or make pauses, or my son walks in on me and stuff. We do live in a house, and my son do have access to this room when I'm in here. I used to be in another room, but my family is growing, so I had to, move out that room, and I feel like, I just needed a small little corner for this. So I'm in a little corner doing this. So please bear with me. I don't have a big expensive studio or nothing. Please bear with me. But like I said, like I usually talk about music, but today I said like I want to do these lives and I want to talk about different things. I don't just want to talk about music because we're not just living for music. We don't just we're not just artists. We're human beings at the end of the day. So today I want to talk about the epidemic of the fake food industry right now. Yeah, it's getting wild and crazy out there with the fake food. And I spoke on this. I spoke on this the last live I did. I spoke on it a little bit, but I thought maybe why not just do a whole live and talk about how much the food is being tampered with. And it's a serious epidemic that's happening, and people are not really paying attention to it that much because, like I said, when I go to the supermarket, I see people buying the same food that people are talking about and telling people like, hey, that food is not good for you. Not like in a way where like if you eat too much fries you get fat or nothing like that. No, it's more like there's chemicals in there that could be cancerous or just could make you sick and stuff, but people are still eating them. So apparently people are not onto like the fake food thing that's happening. The first thing I want to talk about is bread, especially white bread. So I recently went to my doctor, and we was having a conversation about like food and stuff. And she was telling me, my doctor's a female, she was telling me that about how a lot of people don't know that in things like, diabetes and high sugar and stuff like that, a lot of people don't pay attention to carbs. And she was telling me, man, a lot of people don't pay attention to carbs at all. People think it's just like, putting sugar in your drinks or drinking sugary drinks. That's the only thing that can affect you. But actually, carbs, things like bread, rice, yams, potatoes, things that are high in carbs, those things literally turn to sugar once they go in your body and they get digested. So she was telling me, man, one of the things you got to watch when it comes to like, things like high sugar, high, diabetes, pre-diabetic and stuff like that. One of the things you have to watch is the amount of carbs you eat. Bread, potatoes, white potatoes, rice, pasta, you know what I'm saying? Yams, those things that are fufu. I know, my Africans out there love their fufu. Those are the things that are very high in um, starch and carbs. And when those things go in your body, they turn to sugar. So that's one of the things we have to watch that we eat. Bread, man. And bread is a big staple in our society, right? In our community. Bread is, I mean, we eat bread every day. If you ask me, like I know that I seen people make sandwiches for breakfast, lunch, dinner sometimes. People eat bread. Bread is probably I gotta say, bread could probably be the most popular food out there that people eat because it's cheap, it's easy to make, it's only about a couple of ingredients. Well, you know, the early bread, but nowadays, and with that, I'm a segue into this conversation right here. Recently, I saw a video on Instagram with a guy. I mean, hopefully, I could find a video so I could reference it. Um, he was talking about how he had a bag of bread in his office for 2 years and he brought the bread out. The bread looked like it just came off the supermarket shelf, and the bread was still soft. It didn't mold. 2 years it's been sitting there. It didn't mold. Nothing happened to the bread for 2 years. 2 years. He bought that bread and had it there, and it didn't mold. Nothing happened to the bread. And his thing was, man, I gotta do something. I gotta go in depth on this. I gotta figure out what did they put in this bread to cause it to last this long. So that's another thing. The ingredients they're putting in that bread causes the bread to last for years. That can't be good. That cannot be good. There's no way that bread could last that long. I started making my own bread. Like I got a bread maker and I make my own bread because this is crazy that and when I go out, if I'm gonna buy bread, I usually either buy like sourdough bread or wheat bread, but even the wheat bread sometimes you gotta be careful of. And I usually try to go to a bakery where the bread is being made that day and served that day and probably gonna last a couple of days when you take it home. Real bread. So I try to avoid any kind of like I try to avoid Wonder Bread and all that other white bread sitting on the shelf because, dude, they are doing things to that food that you are not gonna recover from. I'm telling you, you're not gonna recover from eating that bread. So we have a serious problem. We have a food epidemic, and people have been warning us for years, and people have been saying this for years. A lot of the people that I listen to and follow have been saying this for years that we're gonna have food shortage, and we're gonna have food problems. And we're already starting to have those, but like I say, people are not paying attention. People are not seeing what's going on right now with this food epidemic. So another thing is all these different companies that have like canned soup and can this, can that. Those things you have to watch. You have to read the back of the can and see what they're putting in there. Now, back in the day, we would just be like, oh, only old people look at what ingredients are going in their food because they're old, they're about to die. Nah. We have a problem right now. We have very high cases. There's a spike in diabetes, chronic illnesses, a lot of things that we could have avoided and probably only experienced when we are old. But now we have little kids experiencing these things. More and more little kids are experiencing these things. I mean, I don't know if you saw on YouTube somewhere. I try to find it a video of The Campbell Soup is Campbell Soup. The Campbell Soup CEO, he said that he won't be eating Campbell Soup anymore. So all these CEOs, they sell food, but they don't eat the food and they don't feed their children the food. They say it out their own mouth. Like, I would never let my kid eat this food. But they're selling it because guess what? It's a profit involved. So you have people who literally are like killing people because they want to make a profit. You know, the Campbell soup guy said he's not eating Campbell soup anymore because there's no real chicken in it. Now, those soup I know always have chicken in them. So if they still got chicken in the soup today and the Campbell Soup CEO said, hey, guys, that's not real chicken, I won't be eating that anymore. I think he got fired. They fired him because he ratted them out. He let them out. He let the cat out the bag. He let people know that they're not eating real chicken. So you can go ahead and eat. I'm no disrespect to the company. Like, I'm not trying to block their profits. They could go ahead and make their money, but it's apparent that they're selling fake food. They're selling fake chicken, lab grown food, and it's in the soup. It's in the Campbell soup. It's in a lot of those canned soup. I've been in the store. I've started ever since I started paying attention to this. I started going and I started looking on the back of those things, and I'm just seeing a lot of bioengineered ingredients in the food, which is what's happening. This is just bioengineering. It's always there. Bioengineered ingredient contains a bioengineered ingredient. Now they're not telling you what the ingredient is. They're not saying it's the salt, it's the this, it's the seasoning. No, they're not telling you it's the potato. No, they're not telling you what the bioengineered ingredient is. It's just saying it has bioengineered ingredient. Now, one thing crossed my mind was how long have this been happening and they wasn't forced to put that label on the food on the back of the food? How long was it happening before they actually said, you know what? We have to tell people that they're not eating real chicken. How long was that? Because I looked it up and it said that like like 2016 or something is when they said, hey, you got to put on the back of your product that it has a bioengineered ingredient in it. So basically, we could have been eating this stuff for years, and not know that it wasn't real food. You know what I'm saying? Like we've been eating this stuff. So companies were forced, like in the last, let's say 10 years, 10, 11 years, maybe 15 years, to put that label on there that the food is bioengineered. Like there's a bioengineering engineered ingredient in here. You know what I mean? I mean, people have been telling us for years. Companies like McDonald's and stuff, they sell food that's not really. Haven't you seen those videos of people who said they had a McDonald's burger for 20 years and it hasn't rotted? Nothing is rotting inside of it. It's not rotten. It's not the bread is not molding. The pickles are not rotten, and the meat is like a hard disc. Like it's crazy. Like, and people are still eating that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I try my best to keep my kids away from it, and I try my best to stay away from it too. All of them are bad. All of the fast food companies, all of them are bad. They're selling bad food. I mean, I tell you what, I've been to Chick-fil-A. I used to like Chick-fil-A. When I first came back here, Chick-fil-A was one of my favorite fast food spots. But I went there recently, like maybe about, not, let me not say recent because it's been months, but I went there some months back. And I was telling my wife, I said, man, I don't know, but the chicken, there's something weird about it. Like there's something, the consistency just don't seem right. And I was telling my wife that. And as soon as I started doing my research, I saw that, there has been accusations that they are also using fake chicken. So the chicken is not the chicken is not real. Oh my God. They really, so basically companies have decided that a profit is more important than health. So health is not what they're here for. They're here to make a profit. So they don't care that they're feeding you fake chicken, bioengineered ingredients and stuff. And to think about it, these things had to go through like the FDA and stuff. You know what I'm saying? The food organization. They had to go through that. They had to tell them like, yeah, your food is good for the market. So basically, not even the FDA is stopping this. You know what I'm saying? Because the way I don't know. Nobody told me this. I didn't get this information from anybody, but the way I look at it is like this. Like some of these companies, the food that they're making, some of the food that they're making, some of the ingredients has to be sometimes shipped from overseas. Sometimes they might be making something with coconuts. They don't really grow coconuts in America. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes they might have to be making something with coffee, cocoa. Those things don't really grow here. So those things have to be kind of imported. And some companies I find it hard to import, hard to get, expensive. When they finish putting the product together, it's not profitable. So a lot of companies are starting to try to figure out like how can we, you know, continue making these foods, continue providing these foods without all this problem. And hey, entrepreneurs will do what entrepreneurs, do. And they'll come up with ideas. And somebody, I don't know who, said, let's start making this stuff in a lab. You know what I'm saying? So now you got meat making in the lab, you got chicken making in the lab, you got like beef, chicken, all kind of other meats are being made in the lab. But like I said, people are not paying attention to the food. They're just going, they look on the packages, it looks good to them, and they grab it and they go, they eat it. You know what I mean? So these companies told themselves, something, we sometimes we gotta go to war just to get coconuts. They gotta invade a country and go to war with the country just to get the country's coconut, just to get the country's bananas to make their products. So they're like sitting there and they say, man, we say we don't want to go through all that anymore, man. We don't want to go through. We don't want to like, say we don't want to like have to go to war for coconuts all the time. So they're sitting there and they're saying, something, let's create the coconut in a lab. So you have companies that are creating the ingredients for their products in the lab. I just saw Bill Gates, who's buying all the farmland in America, say he's making butter out of tin ear. He's not using milk. He's not using the animal or nothing. They're just making butter from, I don't know. I don't know how they're making it, but they're making butter without cows. So that's the thing that's happening right now in America. And we are only seeing a rise in diabetes, a rise in pre-diabetics, a rise in just a lot of chronic diseases. People are getting sick all the time. But you know what? When there's a problem, there's always profits on the other side. So the people that makes the profits from all this illness that's happening don't care. They're like, make them people sicker because them people are making us more profit. Our kids don't eat that stuff. We tell our kids don't eat that stuff. Feed that to them people over there. Let them get sick. And then let them come over here and they got to buy our medicine. They got to come to our hospitals. They got to come to our medical facilities. You know what I'm saying? They gotta spend all this money with us after they eat that food. And that's what's happening with us right now. We just have a serious food epidemic and people are not paying attention, man. And it's always this way where like people are not paying attention to what's going on around them. They just don't care. I feel like the world is always have been like that. Like when they tell stories about how the world ended back then and stuff, I feel like that's what happened. I feel like people just didn't care anymore and didn't pay attention anymore and didn't pay attention to the warnings and all the things that was happening around them and stuff. And it eventually just blossomed into a big problem. And sometimes the pressure of something, you just pop. So I feel like that's what's going to happen eventually because nobody's paying attention to what's going on. Nobody's paying attention to what they're putting in their bodies. Like nobody's paying attention to what ingredients they're putting in the food. Like nobody's is doing that. And when people try to come out and tell people about these things, you know how it goes. They label you all type of names. You know what I'm saying? They start calling you crazy. The funny thing about society is that everybody could be walking down the road to destruction. And there's so much people walking down the road to destruction. It's a line going down the road, and they're just walking over a cliff. Nobody is checking to see what's at the end down there. Nobody's checking. Everybody just see everybody walking that way. So people are like, well, this must be the way to go. Nobody's looking up, nobody's looking around. So that's how we have lived on this earth forever. Whatever the majority is doing, we think it's right, even if it's dead wrong. And the one or two people that question it are always outcasts. Like back in old time, you were casted out the village for having a different opinion, for speaking out against things that's happening that you felt wasn't right. So it's crazy, man. So what can I say, man? The food epidemic is here. We're heading into the fake food era. We were in it for a while now, with companies like McDonald's and all the fast food companies. They've been doing that for 20 years now. They've been feeding us fake food. People are warning people. People are saying, hey, there's a warning. Like, stop eating that stuff. Don't eat that stuff anymore. And hey, people gonna eat what they want to eat. You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, you can't really tell people what to eat. You just gotta let people live their lives. And if it becomes something of a problem to them, then they'll just have to deal with it. But you can only speak what you see, and you can only warn people when you find out something, but you can't make them do anything. You can't tell people to put down the McDonald's burger. You can't tell them that. They're not going to do it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you see people eating McDonald's every day, and you're like, wow, haven't these people seen what's going on? Don't these people do any research? McDonald's is open right now and the line is long. Chick-fil-A is open right now, the line is long. You know what I'm saying? Those people don't have no money problems. Them people making money every day. But we got money problems, but yet we seem to always want to like make things worse by going and eating poisonous food from these companies, and just basically I feel as a race, sometimes we just put our lives in the people that want to kill us. We put our lives in their hands. That's what we do. We just like trust these people. We just like trust people that's out to get rid of us. And it's an issue. You know what I'm saying? It's an issue. So I don't know, man. You need to open up your eyes and see what's going on out here. You need to pay attention to what's going on out here and realize that there's a food epidemic. There is going to be a food shortage. And I think the food shortage is already here, if you ask me. It's just that we haven't felt it to the fullest yet. And with that, I will wind down my stream. I wanted to do about a 25 minute, and I am hitting that mark. So I am gonna head offline. I got some other things I gotta do. I gotta go do some other things around here. So I'm gonna head off. But it's been good talking to you. And I know sometimes these things can seem like a lot, and sometimes we can seem a little bit off the rail when we come up with these conversations. And like me and my wife all the times, like she's not like a controversial person, and she doesn't really like to cause problems and cause confusion and stuff. And sometimes when I bring these conversations to her, she'd be like, man, you always got some real like deep conversations that say that you just cause a lot of like back and forth. But that's what we're here for. You know what I'm saying? So give yourself a round of applause if you stayed for the whole video and you watch the video. Thank you for tuning in, man. And don't forget that you can watch all my lives. Just go on my channel and go on the live section. You can watch all my lives. Please go ahead, watch them, man. I need your views. Without your views, I really don't have a channel. You know what I'm saying? So if you're subscribed to this channel, go ahead, watch the lives, man, and share the lives and put them out there. Let people hear them, because sometimes this information, sometimes I be like, I'll be thinking that I'm just bringing information that's already out there, but then people be commenting and saying that they didn't know some of this stuff. So we are doing some kind of good on the earth. We are doing some kind of good online. we're bringing information that some people didn't realize. We're definitely making an impact. So please, 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 please share, like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, subscribe, because when you subscribe, you let us know that you rock with us, and you really love what we do. All right, man. My name is Dagger, aka Red Robe. Tapping out one time. This has been White Tip Radio, White Tip YouTube channel. Please like, subscribe, share, and enjoy your weekend, man. Don't go too hard on the fast food. Remember what I told you, man. That stuff is fake. Peace and one love.